For this session on innovation and incubation, we have with us Dr. Sudarkodi Venkatesan. Dr. Sudarkodi Venkatesan is a registered patent agent, trademark agent, and SIPP facilitator. She is presently working in Crescent Innovation and Incubation Council as Head, Center for Intellectual Property Rights and Technology Transfer. She has obtained a PhD from IIT Kanpur for researching on tracing in polymers using molecular dynamics and MS from IIT Madras for researching on sonochemical reactions. Following a research career, she obtained training in patent drafting and prosecution from Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan Attorneys, Chennai. She has drafted and prosecuted patent applications in diverse fields of mechanical, chemical, computer science, and technology and life sciences. Further, she has also undergone courses and training on software licensing and technology transfer. We are happy to have you with us, ma'am. I now request our Director, Center for Research, to felicitate Madam. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for the invitation to present this topic. And I'm very happy to present this thing because it's very relevant to our present day. And as you, all the students are just starting your PhD career, into your PhD stream, this is a very opportune time to, get all these things so that you can plan your way forward. So, போன டாபிக் பார்த்தீங்க இல்லையா ரிசர்ச் டு startup. So it's almost like a mirroring. So what you get after you do research, you get something new, right? Something innovative. So that is what is going to be the outcome of your research, right? And then you go to a startup. Now a startup is going to be developed in an incubation center. So it is kind of mirroring what போன session கூட almost related session. So கொஞ்சம் overlaps இருக்கும். Okay, so first innovation அப்படின்னா என்னது? Okay, it also includes invention. Invention is something that didn't exist earlier, you are bringing it for newly, okay? Now when you say innovation, what does it mean? It is either something new or you're improving what is already there. Okay, that is the basis of innovation, right? So this is the definition. It can be a product or it can be a service. Like ninga edha customer service kudukuringa, edha travel services, any kind of service also, or any hospital service. So anything new or anything that is improving on what is already there. So that is what is innovation. Now when that innovation also leads to economic relevance, when it has some economic relevance, that is when it becomes a viable good or service which can be converted into a startup. Okay? And ஒரு innovative capacity அப்படிங்கிறது என்னது? We say, அவங்க வந்து ரொம்ப க்ரியேட்டிவாக இருப்பாங்க, I'm not very creative, I'm very bookish, அந்த மாதிரி இல்லை. So innovationங்கிறது, it is something that can be learned and practiced. It's only a set of practices. If you apply yourself to it, you can improve your innovative capacity. Okay? இப்போ ஓகே, நம்ம எதுக்காக இந்த டாபிக் இப்போ பேசுகிறோம்? இப்போ நாங்கள் பிஹெச்டி பண்ணுறப்பெல்லாம் நோபடி டாக் டு அஸ் அபவுட் திஸ் இன்னோவேஷன் ஸ்டார்ட்அப் இந்த மாதிரி கான்செப்ட் மேபி இருந்துச்சு, சம் பீப்புள் would have done, but we never had it in our orientation session or anything like that. Things used to stop with research methodology. But now why this topic is coming, why this startup culture and this innovation, emphasis on that எதுக்காக வருது? Anybody from the audience? So last session, it's better if it's interactive. Necessity for what? There is a requirement in society, right? That we come up with new products. Then beat the competition. Okay? Paper published? Huh. Okay. Fine. So as he said, there are many problems that are not solved yet, right? So there are many existing problems. And we need to find, for the well-being of the society, we need to find solution for that. Anyway, நம்ம முன்னாடி research பண்றப்பையும் we were solving problems, right? So, but then now what happens, or something's already there, we need to improve on it. And then also any disruptive technology, like he said, beat the competition. How do you beat the competition? அப்போ காம்படிஷன் ஒரு விஷயம் இருக்குன்னா அதையே நம்ம திருப்பி செஞ்சோன்னா அதில் ஏதாவது எக்கனாமிக் பெனிஃபிட் இருக்குமா? இருக்காது, ரைட்? ஸோ வி நீட் டு டெவலப் எனி டிஸ்ட்ரப்டிவ் டெக்னாலஜி. So what is can you give me some examples of disruptive technology that is coming up now? AI, right? So now suddenly everybody is talking about what is going to happen. AI vandirchu, things are going to completely change. The way we work, the way we function, everything is going to change. So that kind of disruptive technology which will completely change the technology landscape. And we also need the sustainable development. We just saw in the Wayanadla there has been such a national calamity. And we know already what the future is going to be for us. That these kind of, unless we move very fast into sustainable development, we are going to face many problems. Climatic problems, that is again going to lead to migration, and it's going to be a human problem. So all these problems are going to come. So there is a push to move towards sustainable development. Okay, so why at this stage we are talking about all that? Because we need economic development in the country, right? When we say, how Japan improved or how America improved, they all had a technological, edge over us. They were able to invest in technology, they were able to do research, they were able to come up with, internet and those kind of things much before us. Like semiconductor industry, those things like South Korea and all immensely improved because of semiconductor industry. So like that, now for our country to become economically developed, we have to catch on to the next big wave. இப்போ நம்ம அவங்க பண்ணாங்க அதையே நம்ம ஃபாலோ பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருந்திருக்கோம் இவ்வளோ நாள். பட் we have to be developers of new technology, ரைட்? இப்போ நெக்ஸ்ட்டு என்ன வரப்போதோ அதை நம்ம டெவலப் பண்ணால் தான் நம்ம கண்ட்ரி எக்கனாமிக்கலி டெவலப் ஆக முடியும். And second is employment generation, right? So already you know how the the employment data is. So there is rampant job deficiency, right? So that is becoming a huge problem, not just in our country, worldwide. So can government, இப்போ முன்னாடிலாம் ஓகே நீங்கள் டிகிரி முடிச்சிட்டிங்க ஒரு ஜாப் கிடச்சிருச்சு. இட்ஸ் நாட் லைக் தட் எனிமோர், ரைட்? So how much can government keep generating jobs for you? Or a few industrialists can't be generating jobs for you. So that is why at even a university level, we want to encourage people to come up with ideas to start their own businesses, their own ventures. Like you listened to the speaker last time, right? Who just spoke. So he was telling he's employing around 13 people in his company. Okay, so because he took the route of the startup, 13 people have found jobs there, right? And இப்போ எப்படி ஆகுது, nowadays technology is going like that whatever investment is made, the number of jobs that investment is bringing in is very less, not like earlier. முன்னாடி ஒரு ஃபேக்ட்ரி போட்டால் அவ்வளோ பேருக்கு எம்ப்ளாய்மெண்ட் கொடுத்தாங்க, அந்த மாதிரி இல்லை இப்போது. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸ், இந்த மாதிரி நியூ ஐடியாஸ் எல்லாம் வந்தால் தான் we can generate employment. And of course we need to have a global place, right? So இப்போ world is not a isolated thing, just India மட்டும் அப்படிலாம் இல்லை. After 1990 we have opened up our markets. So at the global level also we have to be a soft power, a superpower, right? That is what is going to give us security and well-being. So that way we should compete at a global level. And of course we need to be technically developed. So these are the reasons why government is again pushing us. So now what initiatives government has taken now? இப்போ வந்து now there is a push towards, all the research institutes, all the universities, they are pushed to move towards practical research problems, right? Now government is incentivizing filing patents, then doing startups. So இப்போ நீங்கள் university ranking பார்த்தீங்கனாலே this has become a very important component, because they want to push at this stage itself. So don't just do a degree and go. You have to think in terms of generating technology and going in for startups, and these are some metrics based on which your career growth or your university ranking is based. So that is the way government is incentivizing institutes to move towards this way, right? So now setting up an incubation council. So these things have become an important marker to rank the universities. That is the way government is pushing this agenda forward, because they realize the importance of coming up with new technical solutions. Okay, now why universities? Why are we targeting universities? As the last speaker also was telling, right? If you are starting a PhD career, at least you have around 4 or 6 years time, right? So you have that much time where you can invest and then develop some product. But once you pass out from here, you will have other economic necessities. You won't be able to have the time or the effort to put in. But this is the ideal time where you can spend, you have that huge chunk of time. Be it even in a master's you have 2 years, or a BTech you have 4 years. So you have a huge chunk of time in which you can invest it for this kind of a venture. And as he also mentioned about interdisciplinary, right? So all technologies, everything is interdisciplinary. So when you come to a university like this, there are so many departments, right? So now here itself, how many department people will be there, right? So it is a very ideal ground where it's like a hotbed for innovation, because your roommate will be from a different department. Maybe they will talk to you about their research problem. You can talk about your research problem. You have faculties who are experts in one area, so you can go and interact with them. So this kind of environment you won't get outside a university, right? So you have so many departments, you have so many experts who are sitting here. So anything, any idea you want, you can go and discuss, and not just stop within your boundaries, right? So that is like very crucial here. And you have time to make mistakes also. So if you try something for 1 year and you fail in it, that is not going to cost you much, right? So you have like 5 or 6 years, maybe 1 or 2 years, you can afford to make some mistakes and fail also. You have time to do this trial and error, right? So that is the reason universities are the hotbeds of innovation. And you as PhD scholars, because you have completed your master's, your BTech, and so you have some amount of technical knowledge now, right? So now you have the time, you have the environment, you have the research infrastructure here, so many labs, and again you're in Chennai, you have so many labs outside this institute. So you don't have to confine yourself only to Anna University. You have IIT just opposite to you. So many institutes are there. Biological institutes are there. CLRI is just there. So you have this access to a great wealth of human potential, and also so many libraries. So you have everything at your fingertips now. All you have to do is to take that step forward. So as the previous speaker also was telling, no, don't just think that, okay, I'll just, publish a couple of papers, do some thesis, and get out of here. Just think that let me take a step forward, let me try. It's okay if I fail, I'm not going to lose anything. Anyway, at the end of it, I'll have some thesis or some paper. But at least let me try, let me work on some problem, let me at least give this a try, right? And you have an incubation center here, you have patent facilitating center here, so everything is here with you. And so make use of it. Okay, so what is an innovation cycle? Just like, life cycle, innovation also has a cycle. So you start with research, and what happens in the research, you come up with something new, either an invention or an innovation. And what you do, you have to protect it. அப்போ தான் வேறு யாரும் வந்து காப்பி பண்ணாமல் இருக்கணும் இல்லையா? உங்களோட க்ரியேஷன் அது. ஸோ உங்களோட க்ரியேஷனை நீங்கள் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்ணணும், ரைட்? தட் இஸ் வேர் intellectual property comes into play. So first you protect it, and then you evaluate it whether it's commercially viable, right? So something may be commercially viable 10 years later, something may be commercially viable even next year. So, like if you take pharmaceuticals and all, it will have a long gestation period. But something in IoT may have a very short gestation period, right? So you have to see whether what is the commercial valuation of your intellectual property. And once you realize that, then you have the option whether you are going to start a startup or you're going to license the technology. Okay, so you can go ahead, start a startup, or you can say, fine, somebody else is there who will do the business part of it, let me license it to it. Okay, so that way, as an inventor, you also get monetary payback, and the institute also gets. So what does the institute do? They again go back and invest it in research. So this is the ideal innovation cycle. Okay, everybody knows Google, right? Now you know where Google started. Google started in a university. Okay, so there were two people, Larry and Sergey, you must all know. So they met, both were graduate students just like you. So when they met, they were able to, so they kind of formed they said, fine, we will work on something together. So they both came together and they had a vision. What was their problem statement? They said mission was to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So this was the problem that they came up with. Okay, so then they worked on it and they were able to come up with a method. So that method was able to rank the information, and so they came up with a product, and that method was viable. It was a good technology. So that once they came up with the technology, both the university also noted it and Silicon Valley investors also noted it. They were able to raise funds, right? And then they again, once they got the funds, they again built the team, and then now you know where Google stands. So where did Google start? It just started with two people coming together saying that we will find a solution to one problem. Okay, and all of you know, right, how important N95 mask was there during COVID. Right? Again, N95 mask was also a university invention. So the researcher, he was Peter Sai. He was a doctorate in material science. So when he did his PhD, he didn't just stop with his department courses. Almost 500 credit courses he has done in a variety of subjects, starting from engineering to hard sciences. So that has been his passion for knowledge, right? So he, during his coursework itself, he explored all subjects. Whatever interested him, he did so many courses during his coursework. So that is a pointer to you. I don't know how the system works here, but if you have the choice of auditing courses in other departments, you should take up that opportunity, right? So when you're auditing a course, you don't have to give exams, right? Maybe if you want, you can, or you don't have to. So explore other topics, other department courses. You should have that open thing. And then, so then he became a professor. He worked for 10 years to develop this product. When he developed this product, he didn't think, COVID was going to come. He just built a filter as a home filter, home air filter. That was all what he thought. But then the US Center for Disease Control, when they examined this product, they found out that this product is able to contain 95% of the germs. Okay? So that is how it went to a medical use. Right? So even what invention you come up with, you may, give a problem statement, but you never know how it's going to span out. Right? So, and then, so when did all this happen? It happened in 1996. And when did COVID start? Right? So when COVID started, this became such a important thing. And it was so much in demand that they had to reuse it. So he was retired by the time. So in 2018, he retired. But then, because there was a lack of these masks, he was called back to research on how this mask can be recycled so that it can be used again. Okay? So one invention can take a few years and you have a product coming out and it's going to work, or it can span your entire lifetime, that even after you retire, you come back. That is a time when that product comes, becomes very marketable, and you have to continue your research even after that. So so these two examples I'm just giving to say that nothing is like இவ்வளோதான் டைம் எடுக்கும், இப்படி தான் இருக்கும், இப்படி தான் ப்ரோக்ரஸ் ஆகும்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. You start with the problem, you find a solution, and then how much time it's going to take, where it's going to go, when it's going to become a great necessity, you never know. But both these two things, everybody, I think each one of us have used these things, and they all started from a university. So that is the power of what you can achieve. Okay, that is why I chose these examples. Okay, so that's what. So you can either plan your product life cycle, or something can happen out of the ordinary, and then collaborative work, right? So again, if you see those two guys, they collaborated and they came up with a solution, right? And again, if you take that Professor Sai also, he had a research team with whom he worked and he developed it. So you should also see, don't just stop with yourself, try to collaborate with people, try to collaborate with other departments, right? And again, if you take Peter Sai's example, he did 500 credit courses in this PhD time, right? So learn, whatever, have that curiosity in you to learn, not just my subject, anything that interests you, go and explore it. There's so many avenues now. If you go to NPTL, like IIT is offering so many courses there. You can learn any course at almost free of cost. Okay? And of course, time taken, you can never know how much time it's going to take. So it's not planned, but you just start on the journey, and it can become a great product. So where does India stand? So India is the third largest startup ecosystem. Okay? Why? Because government has been pushing it right from 2016, right? If I remember, that is when this became a big thing. Startup thing happened. So many funding schemes were introduced. Seed funding was introduced. Patent cost was reduced. So if, as a company, if you do a patent, it costs at least 8,000, I think, fees. But as a startup, if you are doing, or as a university you are doing, almost 80% they've reduced the cost. You only have to pay 1,600 for a patent application. Okay, so many incentives government has put up, and that is the reason why we are the third largest startup ecosystem. Okay, so where does innovation start? It starts with a problem definition, right? So you find a problem, and then you come up with a solution. How do you come up with? There are so many methods are available. You can choose any method and apply it to your thing, or you can do brainstorming, and then you gather what all resources are available. So if I try to solve a problem for which I don't have access to resources, that will be a waste of time and energy, right? So if I need a HPC cluster to run my code and I don't have a HPC thing, then it's going to take a lot of time to do a code without a HPC. So see what resources you have around you. So when you come up with this idea, you should have the necessary resources to apply that. And of course, being in a research career, you are going to have the facility for research and development. Okay, now there was a question, right? How do I find problems? Right? So do I just sit and, one thing is you can look around you and find problems are everywhere in everyday life. But if you want some resource, governments have come up with this SDG goals, sustainable development goals. So there are so many goals they are defined, and each goal they have defined problem statement, like climate, like pollution control, or energy, green energy. So many SDG goals are there. So you can just go, it's all available in the internet. You can go and you can just browse through it. They have defined problems. You can pick any one of them and take it up. And even study the future trends. Now generative AI is coming. So how many of you attended Imagine? Last February Imagine happened. So they had so many sessions to explain what all new technologies are coming up. So attend such events where you will get exposure to what all new things are coming, like e-mobility is coming, so many events are happening. So whatever disruptive technology is coming, so many events are happening, and you're blessed to be in a city like Chennai where you can go and physically attend this. You can listen to experts giving you talks. You can have practitioners discussing what are the problems they are facing. So from there you can take your problem statements. Okay? And of course, we have our general usual way of looking into literature survey and finding out problems, right? Okay, so that is where finding the gaps come. So what do we do? Generally in PhD, we only do literature survey, right? That is the second chapter in your thesis. You study all the literature survey and then you find where is the problem. What problem is not solved. Now what I will advise you is go ahead and look at also the patent databases. So many free databases are available where patents, because not everybody, company won't go and publish journal papers, right? They will only put their inventions in the patent database. So lot of things that are not available in your literature survey, in your journal database will be there in the patent database. So go and look at the patent database and then you can find what are the gaps there. So there itself they will be defining. So if you look at a patent statement, they will say this is the problem we are trying to solve. Now these are the solutions that were there. Now I am proposing this solution. Now if you feel you can give a better solution, you can go ahead. Or some problem they didn't look into it, you can do it. And again there is a concept of design thinking. So that is a very systematic way how you go about addressing a problem. So there is, you go to ground level, you see, you listen to the people. Like if there is some pest control you want to do, you go to the agricultural field, you talk to the farmers. Now that will give you some very different perspective than you just sit and search on the internet or search the literature. So on the ground level, when you talk to the practitioners, that gives you a different perspective. You may identify some problem that no literature has been giving you, right? So that is the first principle in design thinking. And then you come up with some idea. You build a prototype. You again go and apply that prototype in that place, in that, agricultural field. Then you will see what problems are coming. And that is a cycle where you improve it and you bring it to a product which is viable product, and then it goes to the next cycle of market. Okay, so that is design thinking in a nutshell. So these things are available in the internet. You can go, there are great talks on what principles of design thinking with examples. You can go, very inspiring videos are there. You can go and see them. And then there is blue ocean strategy. What is blue ocean strategy? So they have something like red ocean and blue ocean. So red ocean is where a lot of people are already fishing. Okay. So what happens? There's very less fish there. Now you also go and fish in that same field. Now IoT is very hot. Everybody wants to do IoT. Everybody wants to do AI. But then after a point, all the problems will be sorted out. You won't have that competitive edge. But then, so if you go into something like a 6G, which is just emerging, not many players are there. Now you go into that kind of a field and you find something there, then your viability of your product and your viability of your success is much greater, rather than going into very established fields. So the blue ocean strategy is go and fish where nobody's fishing. Okay, find problems where nobody's fishing. And cross-pollinate. So that is what interdisciplinary thing. So this is what I talked about design thinking. So you empathize, you define your problem, ideate, prototype and test. So that is the concept of design thinking. Again, blue ocean strategy I just talked about. Yeah, again, resource gathering. You have to see what resources, what lab facilities you are having. Now, if your research requires some other lab facility, can you collaborate with someone from IIT or someone from some other institute in the India or even abroad, right? So you can develop it as a international collaboration also. So you may not have that research facility here. If someone is having there, you can propose your idea. This is the idea I'm working with. I don't have this resource. Can we collaborate and do it? Okay, that will speeden up your process instead of waiting, to get the resource here. And you have to also see how to access funds. So research funds, I suppose you already listened to how to access research funds. And form groups, even informal groups within, you find like-minded people in your hostel or in your department or in your, university. I hope there is some startup club already here, some innovation club or something like that. Go join there, conduct programs, or, just like the earlier speaker came and talked to you about his research journey, right? So like that, you can invite somebody and listen to what they have to say. So form a group of like-minded people. So that will kind of, keep you in that mind frame. So if everybody around you is also thinking along that same line, maybe they are working around about some other problem, but you are working on some other problem. But you have the same mindset that is going to help you in your journey. Yeah, so again, this is just how to, improve your chances for your success in research. Right? So how well you manage your resources, how well you manage your time, and how emotionally intelligent you are. Let me tell, PhD is it is going to test your nerves. So also work on your personal abilities, personal growth. Read books and improve your emotional intelligence. So when something fails, you don't get heartbroken, right? So initially when I started my career, it would be like every time some method I try fails, that used to, kind of demoralize me. Then it will take another 1 month for me to come out of it and again try something new. But then now I know that that is the way research is. You have to accept it. You can't say I put in 10 months of work, now I have to get a success. No. It can just squash and go to zero. You can just come back to square one. But then you accept it and then the next day you start fresh. So that kind of emotional intelligence you should develop. And also here so many hackathons are happening. So go and attend those hackathons. So you will at least, even if you're not interested in those problems, you will get the experience of working on a problem, working in a team. So working in a team itself is a challenge, right? How do you manage your team members? How do you communicate? So these are all very important things when it comes to starting a business or starting a venture, right? So this hackathons will give you a nutshell experience about how these things happen. Okay, so again, what do we expect? We expect we identify a problem, we find a solution, we build a product, and that becomes a success. But what is the reality? Now this is, university level academic trends in USA. So if you see here, this is just a technology life cycle, right? Innovation life cycle I showed you. Around 23,000 inventions were made. And if you see the outcome, how many startups? 1,000 startups. Okay, and how many products? Around 800 products. So out of 23,000 inventions, only 800 products and 1,000 startups materialized. So that is a huge gap from where your invention starts and where it ends. Okay? So majority of the invention that are made will never become a product or will never become a startup. But our aim is to see how we better the chance. Okay? So that is what we call as the value of death. So you start with the idea, you come up with a solution. That solution will never get into a prototype because there is a value of death there. So if you don't have the proper resources, it will just stop there. Okay? And then even if you cross that, you develop a prototype and then you bring it to market, there is no market demand for your thing. Again, another value of death there. Okay? So right from the start to come to the product deployment, there are so many value of deaths that you will come across. Now when you foresee this, you will be mentally prepared to improve your chances that your product doesn't drop into any value of death. So you start with this understanding that there is a high chance of this happening. This is the way it happens. Again, if you see the success rate of startups, we said, right, we are the third largest startup ecosystem, but only 10%, 10 to 20% of the startups are really successful. Okay, so almost it's not even a pass percentage, right? Almost 80 to 90% may fail. But why government is pushing even that 10% and 20% when it becomes a success, that is a great achievement for us. Okay, so we have to see how we will get into the 10 to 20%. So these are the many reasons for why startups fail. So if you see the topmost is no market need. So you find a solution, you just think that, oh great, this product is going to be great because there's no product like this in the market. Now when you actually go to the market says, sorry, I'm not interested in your product. Okay? So that, and then going out of cash. So you're not managing your resources properly. Or not the right team. So team building is very important, right? So we saw even in Google's thing, they had to, after a point, you have to build a team. You can't do everything by yourself. So choosing the right team, that is very important. So if there are so many reasons, and so many ways in which your startup can fail. So now that you have so much of access to resources, you have to foresee right from the time you're starting, read about all this, see where all things are going to lag. Now I may not have a skill set to build a great team, then I'll find someone who's good at picking up a team, right? So that is the way you have to foresee this value of deaths and you have to see how to cross over. So you start with the product problem. You first do a market search. See whether there is a market for my product. Only then you take, invest money in your research. Okay. Again, whereas now we have innovation, right? Now, what does incubation do? Just like on egg, right? Egg can't hatch by itself. It needs some temperature. It needs protection so no predators are coming and eating it, right? So it needs that external support for that egg to hatch. So what does incubation do? Incubation gives you that protection. So you are like starting with a new idea. You don't have any business experience. You don't have any legal experience. You don't have any team building experience. So, or how to get customers. So these things are new. So what does the incubation do? Incubation helps you to access all these things in a protective way, so that your innovation can become a successful company. So there is innovation protection, where I talked about patents and all that, and they provide you fund. So lack of fund is another reason for why startups fail. So incubations can arrange funds for you and market access, right? Both national and international, and again mentor support. So there are technical experts, there are customer experts, business experts. Now as a single startup, you cannot go and access all these people, right? Now in incubation center, they will have a set of people who are experienced, who have seen it all. So when you're doing something itself, they can warn you. Like, see, the way you are going is not right. Please change your strategy, change your business model. So that is where incubation plays a crucial thing, where you come up with the idea and they give you all the support. They incubate you so that you hatch into a healthy chicken. Okay, so what is the time? 4:50, 50, 15. Okay. Okay, so tomorrow I think you have a controller coming to talk about intellectual property rights. So that's why I'm not going too deep into it. But how do you protect your innovation? Just like you have a property, you have a house or land, you go and register it, right, in a land record office or something. So similarly, when you come up with a product from your intellect, that is your intellectual product. Now how to own that product? Some legal rights are given to you. That is what is intellectual property rights. And there is not just one right, there are a lot of rights. Okay, depending upon what you want to protect. So that maybe in the next session tomorrow they'll be covering. So I'm not talking too much about this. But just to tell you that your one product or one process can have a bunch of rights. So make sure you protect, get maximum protection for your innovation, so that somebody doesn't copy you. So I just want to give some insights. So maybe these things they may not cover, so I just wanted to cover. So what happens generally? What do we do? Even in research, we do everything, and at the end of it, we say, now I have some result. Now let me go and talk to the patent officer and see if it's patentable. Okay, but what is advisable is you start with the patent process right from the day one. Even when you're deciding what is your research topic, you should start thinking about whether this will be patentable or not. Okay, I'm not saying that every research has to be patentable. No. There can be some hardcore research which is really valuable, which is really important, which may not be patentable. That is also equally good, equally important, right? But when you have this thing that I'm going to do a startup, I want a patent protected product or process, then you have to think along these lines, okay? So right from the start, at every step, you have to think about whether I'm going on the right route, whether at the end of the day, I'm going to have a good patent or not. So what do you do during in ideation phase when you're just thinking about your problem? So there are some criteria for patent, okay? One is industrial applicability. So if it's not industrially applicable, it's not going to be patentable, okay? And it has to be, so there is a patent act, just like for a property there is a property act, right? Just like that, for each of the intellectual property there is a act. There are sections and rules are there. Based on that only they will decide whether to give you a patent or not. So there are some conditions. Only if it meets those conditions, you will get a patent. So one thing is that subject matter has to be allowable as per the act. So those things maybe tomorrow they will talk to you in detail. So mainly section 3 and 4. And it has to be novel and inventive. Okay. So if you find that your problem statement is not falling under these criteria, then you have to alter your problem statement, right? So even when you're conceptualizing what is your problem statement, what is your solution, that time itself ask this question. Now I'm going to come up with this. Is this going to be patentable? If it's not, then change it right there. So you don't do 3 years of work and then find that it's not going to be patentable. Okay, again, these are the main criteria. It has to be novel, that's new. It has to be inventive. It should not be very obvious thing. Okay, and then it has to be applicable. Okay, so again I mentioned about section 3 and 4. I'm just talking about one single section, not other things. Maybe tomorrow that controller will talk to you. So section 3I talks about what is not permissible patent material. So anything which is, medical procedure, surgical procedure, diagnostic method, so these things are not patentable. So you can't say that I found a new way of doing a surgery and patent it. Okay. So like this, there are so many things are there. I'm just covering one thing. So these kind of exceptions are there. Now what happens, again you have to understand that patents are regional, okay? So what applies in India will not apply in US. So every country has its own patent law, right? So let us say you come up with a surgery procedure or you come up with a diagnostic method. It may not be patentable in India, okay? But that doesn't stop you from getting a US patent because that may be patentable in states, okay? So you have to have that broad thing that, okay, I've come up with something which is patentable. Again, in India, if you see, method of diagnosis is not patentable, but the diagnosis kit is patentable. Any reagent you make, that is patentable. So you have to see what is patentable and patent that in India. And even a method of diagnosis is patentable in states, you go and patent it there, okay? So that is here, I've just given. So this example is just to tell you that every country has its own law. Now something that's not patentable here, like software is not patentable here, but it's patentable abroad, okay? Now if you want to go and patent it abroad, then there are some options. One is called a PCT, another is conventional option. So tomorrow again he may talk on that. I'm just touching upon it to say that you can plan it like this. So even when you are doing your research, you can plan, okay, so this part I'll patent in India, these parts I'll patent it abroad also. And since your product can become a global product, right? What happens if you don't get, like if your product has a great market in US, you don't get a US patent. Now anybody in US can take your work and do it there because you don't have legal protection there. So even when you are thinking about patenting your thing, that time itself you should think where all I'm going to have a viable market and also protect it there. Okay, and so we were talking about, searching the patent database, right? Even for your literature survey or defining a problem statement. So patent search, there are free and paid databases are there. Google Patents and all is free database. So just like you do literature survey, also search there. And what other information you get from patent document is what company is patented it. So you see that, I'm interested in this technology. Now what all companies have patents in this. So you know right away who your competitors are going to be. Okay. So right from there you can follow that these are the potential competitors for me. What are they working on? They are moving in this direction. Let me move in another direction, right? So again, this is patentability search, where you search the entire patent document. So there are different types of searches that you do. One is patentability search. Another is, yeah. So when you do patentability search, what happens? You come up with the original invention, right? And you do a search, you find that it's something is already there. There, you don't stop with that, you can modify invention. And ultimately, what you come up with as a patentable thing may be something very different from what you start with. So keep that room for changing your invention so that it can become a patentable thing. Again, there is landscape. So this is where you get your problem statement from, where you identify your, where the gaps in the invention are. So that kind of search is done by landscape search. And freedom to operate is, you have to be very careful when you come up with a technology. You may think that, okay, I've only made this technology, but maybe somebody in US has already got a patent. If you're not aware of it, and if you start bringing the product into market in India, if they have protection here also, they can create legal action against you. Okay, then all your investments, everything goes to zero, right? Because you can no longer make the product, you also have to pay compensation to them. So it's very important, before you bring your product to the market, you make sure that you're not infringing on other people's patent. So that way, freedom to operate search becomes important. So these things, help you to cross that valley of death, right? Okay, so when you're doing research, what do you have to do? Always maintain a logbook. Note all, put a date, and I think in biology they do it very systematically. There is some, some software is also available where you maintain an online logbook or something like that. But maintain a logbook, record whatever ideas you're getting with the date, and then whatever results you're doing, that also you record it. Because what happens is, you may be researching on it for 2 or 3 years. After that, you will come for a patent. That time, the patent drafter will ask you, like, I need this data, or I need that data. That time, you won't have the time to go, and if you don't have a proper record, you cannot bring back the data. It may be somewhere you would have forgotten about it. Then you will be wasting time doing it again, right? So again, this logbook can be a evidence also in court. Okay, later on, if any legal procedure is coming, it can be evidence. So it's very important that you maintain a logbook, during your research phase. And any source of biological material that you are using. So again, biodiversity laws are there where you have to get permission. So any biological material you are taking, from where you are taking, and the bill that you bought it from somewhere, the document also you have to preserve it and keep. Okay. So these will be important when you apply for a patent or when you are facing any legal issues. And disclosure, if you're working in a team, never disclose anything to anybody outside your team, and also educate your team members. Because even, without any wrong intention also, somebody goes and reveals it outside, then you cannot get a patent, right? If they do something and put it on the internet or something, that will become a prior art. So be careful about disclosure. And if you have to disclose, get into a non-disclosure agreement and then disclose. And again, prototype and testing phase. So those prototyping testing is allowed before you patent also. So that you have to do, because it's a requirement in patent also to show the best way of implementing your invention. And the strategy. So there's many, like, now where all you want to do your patent? Only India or other countries? Or is your idea good enough for a provisional patent, or you want to go for a complete patent? So, and how many additional improvements you're making, how you're going to patent them. So these all form a patent strategy. Okay, so it's important that as a startup or as a technical, research person, you also plan your patent strategy. Okay, and again, when you're future research goes, if you have patent in one particular area, in surrounding areas also you have to patent. So that way you will have complete, control over the technology. Otherwise, what will happen? You will patent in one aspect of it, another person will have patent in another aspect of it. When the customer comes, he wants both of those things, then you need to collaborate, or you will be, under the compulsion to work with the another person, right? So you can plan, when you're planning a product, also plan that you patent the surrounding technologies also. Okay, again, if it's not that if you want to do a startup, you have to do right from research. It's not needed, because there are so many patents are available, which nobody is taking up for from premier institutes also. So many technologies have been developed. They are in the patent stage only, active patents. So if you want to do a startup, you don't have to do any research. You can go and pick any of the patents that are already available in the database. If somebody is not implemented it, you can go and license it, and you can say, let me start a business with it. Let me start a startup with it, right? So you don't have to do the research part also. You can take any available patent and you can do it. Or if somebody has, developed a technology, they didn't protect it in India. Only in states they got a patent and stopped with that. If you find it's a valuable thing in India, because they didn't get protection here, you're free to use the technology. So that kind of technology also you can take and use it. Again, coming to a business model. So now we have a technology, we have developed a technology, we have protected it, right? Now comes to the startup phase of it. When you come to the startup phase of it, you have to think about what business model am I going to adopt? Okay? So these questions you'll have to ask yourself. Okay, so define what kind of business model am I going to take this product to the market. So how much am I going to advertise? What kind of advertising am I going to, how am I going to price it? Am I going to sell it online? Or will I do a franchisee model or a subscription model? So there are many business models are available. There are many literatures available in the open net access. You can go and read about all this. So how you define your customers, you know your competitors, and then you know how to reach your customer, how to acquire customers, how you are going to market to your customers. So all these form the part of your business model. Okay, and the business model will vary depending upon where you want to sell, to whom you want to sell, what kind of product you have, what is the customer base you have. So all these things you will have to think before planning your business model. And again, there is this concept of lean startup. So the person who came up with this concept of lean startup, he initially had a startup, he did a startup and it failed. So when it failed, it really affected him a lot. And from that, he learned a lesson, and then he developed this concept of lean startup. That is a very famous book that is available. You should all read that book. Okay. So what is this thing? This advocates the thing of fail fast. So if you have some rough idea, don't think that I'm going to make the full product and then I'm going to go to the customer. Even a minimal viable product, which is not the complete product also, go and test it in a small group or in a closed circle, or bring it to the customers. Okay, then you will know what is the feedback you're getting. You can improve on it. So if that stage itself you know that it's not having any market demand, then and there you can stop it, or you can change it instead of building the whole thing and then finding it doesn't have a market, right? So he came up with this lean startup method where you have a cycle of build, measure and learn. So this cycle goes on till you have a very concrete product, and that product will be scaled up and brought into the wider market. Again, funding, state government funds are available, central government funds are available. As I told, government is very much interested in encouraging people to do startups, encouraging people to do innovation. So a lot of funding is available. And apart from government support, there are private funding. So there are people, they have a lot of money, they are just waiting for a great product to invest in. Okay, so if you have a great product, if you are able to convince the investor, money is available for sure. Only thing you have to work on is the other part of it, where you come up with an interesting product, a market ready product, or a product which the market really demands. Okay, a lot of venture capitals are sitting with a lot of money, they are willing to invest. Only thing, they want a good product. How many of you have seen Shark Tank here? Shark Tank India. You should go have a look at it. You see what kind of questions they ask the people that come, right? So they come and exhibit their product. They say, will this product work this way? What will happen? What is the profit you have made? What is the customer base? What is your target customer base? Where do you see 10 years, ahead? So then they are going and supporting some product. They are saying no, they won't, they are not interested. Some they are really. So lot of venture capitalists are there. Lot of people are there with a lot of money. If you come up with a good product, you will find an investor easily. Even corporates are, they have a social responsibility thing. So those funds also, they are willing to invest in startups. Okay, and you yourself can, you can take a debt. Like mostly in the initial stage, maybe only your family will bail you out. Somebody in your family is willing to invest in you. That may be your initial starting phase. So those things also you can, in the trial phase, right? So those things also you can explore. And pitching your invention. So you have this great product, okay, but then what if you don't show it properly, right? So that is where communication is very important. Pitching is very important. Okay, so these things, so when you go for funding, the main thing will be that you should prepare a pitch deck. Okay, and then how you project your product, how you do market research. You do market research, you do customer research, you show that people are interested in my product, so those kind of, if you have a good pitch deck, then you have a high chance of attracting investment. So these are things that you will have to work. It's not just research product, now I'm going to throw it into the market, it's going to take. All these things also you have to develop. Again, market access, either I'm prepared, okay, so if I develop something that is only going to be local, some pest control, which is, that pest is only, in a local village area, or in a particular crop, that becomes a local thing. Or I can come up with a product which has national thing, or even an international thing. So I have to position, so all are good, right? As long as I have a good market for it. So you have to have that foresight about where your market starts and ends, and develop a business model according to that. And there will be legal requirements, like, registering your company. So many funding agencies, they'll want your company to be a private limited. Okay, so those legal requirements are there. And if you're going to do it with a partnership, then ownership issues will come. So when you're starting your venture, maybe, your great friends, you start up, you do, you go, 1 or 2 years down the line, you develop some, hard feelings, and you part ways. Then it becomes a nasty business there. So it's very important in the initial stage, even if it's a very close friend, even if it's family that you're starting a business with, enter into this legal requirements, legal, clauses that says that later on, if, we are parting ways, then this is the way we will part. Okay, that then later on, any issue comes, it's very smooth. So these things also you have to think, because many startups we are seeing, when they're starting, their friends, they, happily start, and then after 2 years, one guy wants to leave, it becomes very nasty business. So he says, no, I have put in so much of time, give me so much of money. And the other person says, no, I cannot afford it. All those things. So even when you're starting, you have to think about all these legal requirements. again, market studies are again very important, right? You have to do a proper market study to get a viable product. And mentor support. So as I told, you have all these people who are already seen it, like if you go to incubator, or there are people, like if you take mobility sector, there are so many people who see so many industries. So they'll be like domain expert. They will know what are the problems in this industry, what is the best way to go forward, because they'll be seeing so many people. So like that, any technology experts are there, or industrial practitioners are there, or business experts. Again, you're doing a business, maybe some business aspect you're lacking, okay? Or any management, how you're managing your team, how you're managing your resources. So all these experts are there who can advise you, right? So at one point you will have to go to these mentors, talk to them, say that this is what I'm planning. Am I going in the right way? Is my approach okay? Do I have to change it? So if you go to these conferences and all that, there will be experts who are available there. You should develop those networks. So network building is very important for business, right? Network with these kind of experts, network among yourself. So you can learn, like another startup has done this and failed, you learn from him, right? That will only happen when you talk to them. So you develop this community of startups where you can meet regularly, you can discuss problems, and they can help you with some solution. You can help them with some solution, right? So that network is also very important. So we started with design thinking, right? We saw about design thinking, how you conceive your design, and then how you implement it as a lean startup. And then comes the management. Now you have a lean startup, you have a product. The next thing is agile management. So how do after you come up with a particular product, how do you take it forward? How you are going to bring it into a market? So there you will have to use this agile practices. Okay? So these things you can explore, you can read about them, because I cannot cover it, in 1.5 hours talk, all these things. So I'm just giving you pointers. So this is the recommended way you can go. If you go this way, you will avoid falling into the valley of death. Okay? You have a better chance of avoiding the valley of death. Okay. So I mentioned so many things, right? Funding, market access, attending conferences, networks, mentors. Now all these things, as a single person, if you're going to go and access, it's very difficult. That is where an incubation center comes in. So here also, Anna University also has an incubation center, right? So if you go there, they will guide you about how to prepare a pitch deck, how then they will conduct this funding programs are coming, they'll inform you. You can go apply to this fund, that fund, or this funding, is opening up. Startup TN fund is coming. So many things are there. So any hackathons are happening which is related to you, they will convey it to you, because they are the central point. They will get lot of information. So if you are attaching yourself to incubator, that is like a egg, in an incubation unit, right? Like a baby in incubation. So that is going to protect your thing. So you can work on your problem. They will give you mentor access. They will give you network access. They may go attend, some conference abroad. They may give you opportunity to travel with them. So you can, instead of you spending all the money and going, because they may have like option to take 1 or 2 startups, they can take you. And whatever network they develop there, they can come and, speak about you there, and they can get you the market access. So that is the reason government has made it mandatory, like just like I told about the ranking, right? So having an incubation council in a university has become mandatory. Okay? Because government wants that if some student is coming up with a good idea, there should be this backup system which just takes him in and gives him all the support to get into a startup. So he doesn't have to break his head for everything, right? So that is why if you see Anna University also has an incubation cell. So you can go approach them. You can say like, now I need this kind of mentoring. I need this kind of funding. So they will advise you, right? So this is the stage you are in, now do this. This is the stage you are in, do this. Go to venture capital or take a debt or go to acceleration, scaling up. So that role will be done by a incubator because they will be more experienced. They are seeing so many startups, right? They will know that if this guy goes this way, this is what's going to happen. So that is the role that an incubation center is going to play. So they are going to help you to cross that valley of death. Okay. So again, what kind of support they are providing? Access to investors, mentoring, technical assistance. So they may have some lab facilities also. So some each incubation center may, some are biology oriented, some are e-mobility oriented. So that sector wise incubators are also there. So again, intellectual property management, marketing expertise, finance, accounting, right? So they may have some account officer who will advise you about how to proceed with your finances and all that. And all this account maintenance. Because once you have a company, you have to follow so many legal procedures. The accounting and all happens. So they may provide you that assistance. Networking we talked about. Again, shared. So instead of me going and opening up a center, they will have some infrastructure. I can pay rent and go and start it there. That way my cost will come down. And, inexpensive workplace, chance to meet other startups. So these are some typical facilities provided by incubators. So choose the right incubator for you. So when you're studying here, of course you can, you have an incubator right here, you go to them. Or you can take up some services from here. If you find that some other incubator has some greater market reach, for market reach you can go and approach them, So that way you identify which incubator will give you that, required service and you can approach them. So choose the right incubator. That also makes a big difference. Okay, so I know this video play agma. So this is just one startup that we had. So they opened up with this health kiskos, like rural areas, they won't have. Okay, so this is about what they are offering. So it's like a teleconsultation, okay, where you can take tests and you can also get advice from doctors. Okay, so that is just the funds they've got. Okay, So very simple idea, very which has a market necessity, and they're doing fine. So next slide show, next lastly. So now we have seen, right? We have seen how to, from the problem statement definition, how you want to look at the problem statement, where you have to find your problem statement, to the end of the startup. Okay, so all the thing we have seen, what all issues can come up, what all you need to do. I just touched upon the major points. Now you have to explore, attend tech shows, develop, collaborate, start a group of interested people. So that way you will proceed, right? Even one person lacks, other person will push you. And read books. Lot of books are available. So on startups also, right? On each of these things that I've talked about, lean startup, blue ocean strategy, agile marketing, design thinking, so many books are available. And so many case studies are available where the startup people, their own experiences they've shared. So read those books, that will encourage you, that will show you, what all things can go wrong or how you should equip yourself. So again, hackathons are being conducted, sector-wise hackathons. Go attend them. Even if you don't win or something, it's okay, but it's a great experience, right? So do all these things. So now it's time for you to take up an act. So make the best of your PhD thesis. PhD journey. It's a very challenging, very tough, very very trial period it's going to be. But then enjoy the journey. Okay, so that's what, at the end of it, you'll be happy when you get your thesis, when you get your results, you'll be happy. All the pain will be worth it. Okay, and we hope to see many startups coming up with, to make Anna University proud, and also generate revenue for Anna University, so your future generations will also benefit from that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Check. Thank you so much, ma'am. So scholars, if you have any doubts regarding startups, incubation, you can just interact with madam. Madam, it's a wonderful presentation from your end. Right from the beginning aspects, you touched upon every other aspects as well. Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to scholars. Yeah.
In India, there is CGPD team for patent approving. So for USA, there is another. There will be there. Can we apply for multiple countries, ma'am?
Yeah. So one thing I want to say is every university will have a IPR policy.
Okay.
Now you are a research scholar here, right? So now university is giving you stipend, they are giving you research facility and all that.
Yes,
so IPR policy, as per IPR policy, university will be the owner of your IP. Okay. But you will be the inventor. So there will be revenue sharing with you.
Okay.
Now if you want to, now they will take a call. Now if you feel you have this, whatever you come up with has a market potential abroad, you can go and approach your people there. Now even in our university, one product we found that it has, potential abroad. They were able to show some investor is interested in the product. So we applied for a PCT for them.
So multiple is possible.
Yeah, it is necessary.
Yes, sir.
Not, it has to be done if you want protection in that country.
Okay.
Because patent protection is territorial. If you get in India, only India is valid. Even in Sri Lanka, they can copy you.
Okay.
Right? So wherever you feel a market will be there, you should get protection there.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Can you please give me some websites for patent database? Actually, users
Google patents are there.
Okay.
That is one good thing. eSpaceNet is there.
Okay.
That is European, so that is also good. And WIPO has patent scope. I think in that slide itself I mentioned.
Yeah, but you just scroll it fastly. That's why I cannot.
Okay. Patent scope is there. So that is a very comprehensive. So if there are some patent databases which are where you can search with the chemical structure, like chemistry is there, no chemical formulas are there, structure is there. With that also you can search, or gene sequence searching is there. So patent scope is good. Patent scope, eSpaceNet, and Google Patents, these three are good enough. If you have the time and energy, you can, these are good enough.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, every incubation center has space for outsiders also.
Those are not registered with Anna University or
Yeah,
they
even
are
Anna
not
University will be hosting people from outside. I'm
no, ma'am,
sure that.
even though if they are not a researcher,
Yeah. Because ultimately you are going to be the incubator, right? You are going to pay them service money. Like they are going to provide you space, you'll be paying them. So those conditions will apply whether you're a student or not. If you're a student, they may they may reduce at cost. Maybe for a student, they may like a faculty is doing a startup, they may give free space. But if you're outsider, they may charge you. So
another
that
question
kind.
also, like when talking about startups, ma'am, like do we have any common platform for that? Like those are already started up the same idea, because we don't have any knowledge about that when we are a emerging startup. We don't have any idea about that, those who have already started up. So is there any common platform where they have registered so that we can change our minds to different
I suppose Startup TN will have something. Startup India website is there, it may have something. Or you can go and, so many networking events are happening in Chennai itself. So that now Tamil Nadu government has started this TN Women. That is for encouraging women startups. Okay. So there they are also conducting very regular events. So you can go on because women have their own special, government wants to encourage women to do startups. So you will find like-minded people there. So you just have to go and explore the net. Once you start exploring, there are so many events happening. Chennai is such a happening place for you. So you can just go explore in the thing once. LinkedIn, so many groups are there, right? Once you get in touch, so many events are happening. You can go attend those networking events.
Thank you.
And they are very friendly also. I mean, they want to help you, your co-startups, right? Because they have crossed the journey. They are very willing to advise you and tell you things.
Ma'am, my doubt is that while taking the slide, you told us that some research thing you can patent in India, others, if it is not possible, you can patent in other country. Suppose I'm an Indian, so if I'm finding some patent that is not approved in India, so I can go to another country and do the patent as an Indian patent, or
No,
in
Indian
my name
patent
itself?
is within India only.
Okay.
But as an Indian, you can apply for a patent in USA also.
In
Like
USA
you
also.
will be Indian, the patent will be US patent.
Okay. So it will be registered in my name.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
But if you are doing it during your PhD here, as I told, the ownership will be with Anna University.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Right?
you. Yeah.
So that yeah.
So I think we have come to the end of the program. So I must thank Sudarkodi ma'am for readily accepting our invitation. See, we invited Crescent because Crescent is doing extraordinary well, not only in the country, just outside the country as well, right? And for every subject, we'll have something like content beyond the syllabus. This is like content beyond your research. So you're going to invest like 3 or 4 years in your PhD program. Now, if you can really end up with a product, then you can become an entrepreneur, right? So the previous session and this session was carefully selected to give you some inputs about how to convert your research into a useful product, so that you become an employer and not an employee, right? So that's the idea behind planning the last 2 sessions. So thank you so much, ma'am. You did a great job for us. Thanks a lot.